What's going on, everybody? Jay Howe here with Captain Cardone. Captain Cardone, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. How are you?
Not doing too bad. Pretty excited for this tournament. We've been talking, I guess, in the background. There's quite a few teams signed up tonight. It seems like there's going to be a lot of action. Pretty big tournament, and I'm really, really excited to be casting my first time for random CS for the
That's true.
NexVerse tournament. So
That's true. This will be your first time. You'll do great.
I hope
Um,
so.
but to get started, for anyone that doesn't know, this is a seasonal tournament that we're having. Um, Today is week 6. Next week is the finals where the real prizes come out. Up until now, it's just been, oh, yeah, we won. We kicked ass. Like, you get bragging rights, and that's about it. Next week is the big deal, so make sure you tune in then as well.
Yeah, I think, I started following you guys a few weeks back myself. Found the link on Twitter, got pretty excited. There were some really exciting games. I think that we'll hopefully be able to recap some of those moments during tonight's stream and tonight's cast. Because from what I saw last Sunday, there's some pretty exciting stuff that went on. So that's kind of what's got me hyped because it seems like anything can happen in these tournaments. So that was pretty cool.
That is true. Anything can happen. I mean, last week, yeah, those games they were crazy. We didn't even know what to think casting the games. It was awesome.
I think tonight it's going to be Gazlo or Riot. That's what I feel like.
Yeah, well, especially after the showing last week, how could you not?
Yeah,
How could
that
you not?
that was. I think that's one of the things that kind of got me excited. I've had the opportunity to cast a couple tournaments, and things have been really fun. Pretty excited to do tonight's. If you guys aren't familiar, like Captain Cardone said, this is a seasonal tournament. So I've been catching up myself. As a matter of fact, you can check this out on Battlefy. I'm going to show that real quick so you guys can take a look at the bracket. And we can kind of take a look at that if it will give me the screen here. That's not giving us all that we need. You're actually going to see our face there as opposed to what you should be seeing. Let me move us off to the side. And you'll see the tournament there. It is filled out for the most part. Obviously, that would be a lot of teams, but we do have quite a few teams. And we have round 1 where we're going to have some matchups, but you'll see a lot of teams that have already populated that round 2, which still gives us quite a few teams. So in those early play-in rounds, we've got Perfect Barbecue versus Paradox Gaming, Flipside Tactics versus Huber. I'm going to guess that's correct. And then Team Charmander versus Team X17, who I believe is going to be the first game that we're going to be casting tonight. And they'll have the play-in versus 2Arc Gaming. And 2Arc Gaming, if I recall correctly, I guess, qualified for the major leagues in ESL, if I remember, just a few weeks back.
They are a very strong team right now. Yeah, it's. I'm kind of hoping we see Momentum play them because Momentum has just been flooding our tournament with wins so far. So it'd be kind of nice to see that level of play between two teams that are both really good, just clashing heads.
And looking at it, the first thing I did when you mentioned that, because I've seen Momentum, I believe they've been in some other tournaments as well, and they've been making a really big name for themselves. So I hopped over here and I looked at the tournament bracket. You can actually see in that round 2, I guess that the first round that's actually official, that's going to be completely full. We have 2Arc there, and if they win 2 rounds and then Momentum wins 2 rounds, they're actually going to be there in the semifinals. I'm trying to make sure I have this bracket. It looks like there is
Yep.
a play-in for a third place there at the end. So that's going to be the semifinals, which that means whoever's going to be in the finals. I mean, I'm not saying Momentum or 2Arc's going to get there, but if they do, it's a single elimination tournament. I think that until the finals, which is a best of 3, correct?
Yes, the finals are a best of 3. Up until then, it's best of 1. So if you have one bad game, you can get dumped out. And we've actually had professional teams come in, have one bad game, and just fall off the face of the earth.
That's the most exciting part to me for these tournaments. One game, one bad move, one bad play into the throw pit, and you can completely throw the game. And that's the most exciting part for me in the single elimination tournament. So getting that, and then of course the best of the best there at the end with that best of three is one of the most exciting parts there, because then you have two people that earn their way, and then they get to duke it out in the heavyweight match of the night. So that's the really cool part. That's why I love these tournament styles. Best of one, and then the finals best of three, which to me is the preferred way to do these things.
Right. Yeah, I like it. First of all, it helps us as casters. We're not casting 30 games a day. That would be horrendous. It also helps our players. It's evening. We just started. It's 7-ish here in Central Time Zone. So it's going to be late if we did best of threes. I think best of one is really the way to go. And the other thing is, best of one means that even a team that maybe isn't as good but has some luck, they can just keep going, and that's cool for them, right? That gives them the opportunity to do something that they couldn't normally do.
And that again is the fun part. And I think that's one of the things that I think the message has to get out there to the amateur teams out there, is that you're going to run into tough teams. Like there's no doubt about it. But the only way to get better is to face some of the top teams. But you also have a chance. You have a chance in any game that you play. So these amateur teams that are wondering, hey, do I want to go out there? What if we lose first game? So what? Anybody can lose and anybody can win. And I think that's the exciting part about these tournaments, is that everybody has a chance.
That's true. That
And
is true.
and so that's one of the things I think when I try and talk to some of these amateur teams is, it's like, don't be afraid to go out there. You might go out and shock somebody else, and you might just shock yourself and have one heck of a game. So it's one of those things that if you give yourself the opportunity, then you have that opportunity. If you take it out of your hands, then you're just going to be sitting there playing that Hero League and quick match all day long. And this is a bit more exciting, and there's a little bit more on the line, if I do say so myself.
That is true. There is more on the line. I've always enjoyed that. So if you're an amateur team or you have a couple of friends, you're like, hey, we could play some games. Let's do it. Uh, you're welcome to sign up anytime. You don't have to sign up at the beginning of the season. You could sign up just for next week's tournament. That's okay. Also, we'll be doing season 2. I think we're getting it started right away after this one. I think we're going to have a break for Thanksgiving. But other than that, I think we're getting started right away, and I will confirm that because I don't want to give you information that's false.
And I'm trying to figure this out, because somehow my stream is showing the stream. It's showing the window, and I don't understand why. So you guys are seeing everything behind the scenes. All right, there we go. It's a little behind. So we had a few glitches there in the beginning when we had the window mode up. So you guys are going to get rid of that. So it's a 2-minute delay. So anything that you guys are seeing is already come and gone. So it's probably been like 2.5 minutes for us. So we're going to try and keep up with chat throughout the night as well. We're putting that on delay so that there's no stream sniping, so we don't have somebody coming in and saying, hey, you know what, these people are going for the boss. It's a virtual Tyranda owl, except, somebody is sniping that. And I think we want to make sure and avoid that. When there's stakes on the line, it becomes a little bit more serious, I guess. And, it's still fun. But it's one of those things we want to go for the sanctity of the game to make sure that, people are playing in all fairness. So we're going to keep it that way.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's really the only way to do it. You can't let anybody have an upper hand, especially in best of ones.
Unless they have Gazlo.
Well, yeah, then they always have the upper hand. Seriously though, it's been Gazlo or Riot this entire evening.
Yeah, I think you guys, if now it was one of those things that it came up at the end, and it was really exciting. I guess during last week's tournament, and they ended up winning with Gazlo. So of course, the hype was there, and then they were able to deliver on that hype. So it's one of those things that's carrying over. So if you guys didn't get to see it, lots of exciting stuff, especially from what I checked out last week. A lot of exciting stuff that shows up in these tournaments. Again, the best of one, and then of course the best of three in the end. But there's always going to be something crazy. It's going to catch your eye, and I think that you're not always going to get heroes hype, stuff like that, that top level play to where they have, the best in the world playing each other. What you're going to have is really good, fun games between some really good teams, and you see quite a bit of diversity, I guess, as far as choices and team compositions and stuff like that, and really gives you a take for, everything that Heroes of the Storm offers, from the good and the bad, and from the crazy to the straight cookie cutter stuff. That's the exciting part during these tournaments.
That is true. We see a lot more wonky builds here than I do at least watching, the pros play. And while I love watching the pros play because they're really good and those games are exciting as well, watching, the quote amateurs play is probably more fun, I think, for me at least.
I
Because
think. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, because I get to see people play a Gazlowe or see people say, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna first pick Abathur and just see what happens."
Yeah.
Why? Because we can.
Because we can, right? It's a weekly thing. You get points depending on how far you go and stuff like that. But at the same time, I mean, amateur is amateur, guys. I mean, this is for fun. If you're looking for teams out there, I know there's all kinds of stuff. I believe there's a subreddit on Reddit called Competitive Hots. Even
Yep.
people are looking for teams there. People are setting up teams. You can check that out. This is your chance. There's a ton of slots open. You guys can come in here every week for the season. Season 2, I believe, is going to start in a couple weeks with the finals being next week. So you'll have that all set up. And then, hey, get in a team, get there right in time, and then you never know what can happen. Play your way through, have a little bit of fun. These things are good. It gives you an incentive to play because, there's a little bit of money at the end. Of course, that always helps. But it's for practice. It's for fun. This for me, this beats, playing Hero League all night, which can be fun and frustrating.
Infuriating is the word you're looking for.
Infuriating. And then there's also, quick match, which if you're trying to take a little bit easy route there. But in these competitive matches, it makes it really, really fun. So that's kind of the excitement that goes there. A lot of civil folks. You'll always see the GG, well played, stuff like that from the people that are involved, which you don't necessarily get that in the toxic Hero League matches. So that's kind of one of the fun parts with the amateur series as well.
That is true. That is a good point. I don't think I've ever seen anyone finish a game here and just be like, "Damn it, you guys suck," or "My teammates suck," or "Everything sucks." Like I see that in Hero League all the time, and here afterwards, players are talking to the team that just beat them, and they're like, "Hey, man, you guys did awesome. That was great. Thanks for playing." I mean, I talked to Risenbane just before the game, and we were just chatting. It's just somebody that I've met now through this, and he said, he's been saying that he talks to a bunch of other people on a bunch of other teams as well, and it's just fun. It's good, all good fun.
One of the cool things that I think that I had started to learn over time is even the top tier teams, they scrim against each other. Maybe not like Tempo and Cloud9, they might not scrim against each other, but there was a lot of talk about how some of these top teams, especially overseas and stuff like that, they'll compete against or they'll practice against each other to kind of, it's that whole thing, iron sharpens iron. If they go and they beat a bunch of people that aren't that good, then how are they getting better? So if you compete against other top people, I think that's one of the cool things about the community itself. They play for big stakes, yet they're still willing to have that, I guess, league, that camaraderie about them, which is different than I guess if you were to take this into regular sports, they'd probably be wanting to rip each other's head off. But in this esports world, I'm sure there's some friction from time to time. But for the most part, I feel that it's a really well-developed, I guess, top end of the community. They're just waiting for more people to fill it. And I think that's one of these things that these tournaments do is they give these people that next step to get to that level, such as 2Arc, who's been around a while, reformed, and then they stepped right into the major leagues just a few weeks ago. And I casted a tournament they were in when they were still technically reforming, which was kind of an amateur tournament that went on there. And, they took the next step and did that. It's just a way to say, hey, we're back, we're busy, and then we're getting back to that top tier that we needed to get into. And that was really cool to watch, that nice transition there. And I feel that can happen. We have, as we were talking about, you and I were, right before we started streaming, Momentum. They've been making a name for themselves through
Yeah.
several tournaments lately. So
Oh yes, yes they have, and did there? Speaking of momentum, I'm on our chat, our internal chat here, and I think they already. Oh, this is last week's final. Holy crap! I was like, did they already finish their game? Wow, sorry. That was little scary there for a second, but especially since they're second, like they can't play until Flipside plays. But yes, we have seen momentum come out and really push the envelope a little bit, and they have definitely shown that, hey, we're here, we're competitive, let's do this. And I've talked to multiple people on their team. They all just do it for fun, but they're all very good players, and I would not be surprised to see them, get to BlizzCon or something like that.
I think if this bracket plays out the way we kind of think it will, there's going to be some pretty exciting games tonight. So I think we're still waiting for a link to our first draft. And I'm checking chat. So if you guys see me looking off, I'm trying to find that first draft link. We're trying to set this up with the bracket. Again, it's a little bit, I guess, we're trying to make sure we get this right. With the amount of teams that signed up, there's a little bit, I guess, of a fill out in the round one, which is pretty much a play into round two, which at the same time, it's basically round one anyways.
Right, right. Yeah, we have 22 teams registered. I'm not sure if all 22 showed up. I think we have 18 that actually showed up, and got in during our check-in period. But that's still quite a few teams for us to keep track of. So bear with us while we get this sorted.
Yeah, and there's a little bit going on, and I'm keeping an eye on chat. I'm waiting for that first draft link. There is a lot going on. We're trying to wait for these team captains to get in and everybody kind of get everything going. So we're waiting for that, and hopefully you guys are able to check out the bracket. I don't know, is that set up on Nightbot? I don't know, but the bracket, let me go ahead and put that into, let me find that link real quick.
I have it.
Okay.
I'll put it in the chat.
All right, so if you guys are wanting to check out the bracket, we did have that on the screen just a little while ago, but you are welcome to check that out. You're going to be able to see quite a bit. Some teams you'll recognize, some teams are fairly new, and a lot of teams are playing their way in. For the first time, I believe we had a late join from 2Arcs, so they made it in. So there's some really exciting, I guess, games coming up. A couple in particular that I'm looking forward to. I'm just ready to get this going. So like I said, as soon as we get this chat going, this draft going, we'll be able to have this going for you guys right after that.
Right. So while we're waiting, let's talk about some exciting news that's coming out. Particularly
Cho'Gall?
our three new heroes. Is this insanity or what?
I can't wait. What is it? 2 days? All right, so 2 days we've got Cho'Gall coming. And it's one of those things, I'm trying to figure out who's going to be the Cho to my Gall and who I'm going to be the Cho to somebody's Gall. I want somebody out there. I want to be able to play with somebody and go out there. Two heroes in one. Controlled by one, both function independently, but one person moves you. That's awesome. I mean,
That's scary.
if you look at the stats, I guess kind of the graphics. If you go to the character page on the Play Heroes site, you'll actually see Cho is playing the tank, right?
Yes.
And so you'll see like his defense that they have on there for his defensive stat is maxed out at 10, and rightfully so. And then you have Gall, whose damage is like skyrocket. So you have these two heroes that are capable of doing something pretty awesome. I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of fails. I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of frustrated people. I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of laughs. I'm sure we're going to see a bunch of awesome plays. And I feel like I'm not going to get enough of him. It'll probably be frustrating for a lot of people early on, but it's one of those things that I'm really looking forward to see what the heck is going to happen with Cho'Gall. Because it's crazy.
Here's my concern. I'm an Abathur player. He's at 10, probably higher than that. I don't know. I stopped paying attention once he hit 10. If I clone Cho'Gall, who am I cloning?
This I saw covered by one of the devs, and I'm trying to remember the name because I want to say that they said you couldn't. I'm trying to remember. I saw this
I don't
on
want
a
that
tweet.
to happen.
I saw this on a tweet. I mean, how do you clone one or the other? I'm going to wait. Somebody's probably going to correct me in Twitch chat, but I'm pretty sure that it was listed as none. Like, you can't do it. Kind of like you can't pick him first in Hero League Draft and you can't pick him last, one or the other. It has to be picked in those middle three slots, which... Now, I'm curious how that works. So if you have first pick, then you have first pick. Then if you have second pick, you get 1 and 2. Does that mean you can't or cannot pick it since you can pick back-to-back there? So if you pick first, the other team automatically gets the advantage of picking Cho'Gall and you don't?
I guess so. I don't know. But you could ban it, couldn't you? No, can you?
Well, let's say it's Hero League and not just like a draft. If you ban one, they're both banned. That was already addressed. If one is banned, they're both banned.
Right.
But...
Before we go on, I would like to point out that they thought that they sent us the link to the draft, and they did not. So they just finished drafting.
Okay.
So you guys will find out what comps are being played at the same time we will. So this ought to be interesting. But yes,
All right. So that helps.
so we should be getting invites any second now.
All right. The minute we get those invites, we will bring you guys. And there I have the invite, and we are going to hop on the observer. And we're actually it's time to get the action started. So which teams do we have? Because
I'm not in the game yet, so
okay,
if you want to send me an invite, that would be awesome.
All right,
there we
there's
go.
your invite. All right, so Tiger JK, I recognize that name. So let me look at the bracket here before we get started, folks. Can somebody tell me who we have going here? Let me click on
Okay,
this
so
link.
this is Team Charmander versus Team X17.
No, I think we've got Momentum versus Flipside Tactics. I think Huber. I just
No,
got a
that's
link from
That is
Royal.
that is definitely X17. Because
All right, that is
JDX17.
X17 because everybody's name is X17.
Yes. that is the clue that I used in order to figure that out. Yes.
All right, I was looking at the bracket trying to figure out who we gave.
Alrighty.
All right, so the teams that we're looking at, if we look at the team with Tiger JK, and I'll identify who that is, it looks like they drafted Sonya, Zeratul. Let's see, Tiger JK is on Sonya, Zeratul, Jaina, Tassadar, and Abathur there.
Yes. And on the other team, on Team X17, we have a Rainer, Joanna, Zagara, Tyrael, and Lily.
Okay, see, that Lily pick is not showing up for me, so at least I know who that fifth pick is.
And I did not see Abathur, so yes.
So we have it both back. Is it the middle slot?
Yep.
It's the middle slot.
There's
That's right.
something weird with the observers in this. If you've never observed a game, go try it because
You know,
you
one
can't
thing.
see.
One thing that I wish they would fix that seems like it could be the easiest fix is the tab screen, right? Red is blue and blue is red.
Oh yeah,
Like
that
why
is
why don't they just
infuriating.
fix that? Why can't I mean that seems like the easiest fix. Just change the colors. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, I don't know why that is set like that.
All right. Let me type in chat. So we have all right, we're waiting on one more person, two people to ready up, and then we're going to bring you this live. And then as soon as I get this going, let me pull up the draft. So we have X17 versus Team Charmander.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Tiger
And
JK, I feel like I saw his name on the top players for October list that Heroes of the Storm put out just the other day. So Tiger JK, if I remember correctly, I did see him on that list for that top 200. I think is what they do, 200 players for the month of October. So it looks like we're going live. I'm going to go ahead and get us over to the stream as we start to load, folks. And I'm still waiting on the team names here. So who is on which side? So okay,
Tiger
X17
JK.
is on red now. All right, let me
Yep.
edit this for you guys so that you guys have the right information. And we'll get this going, and we're starting up, and
Looks like we're going to be on Sky Temple.
Sky Temple. All right, so we'll cover the teams here in just 1 second so you guys can see who's on what team, and we'll give you that here in just 1 second.
For those of you that don't know this map, one thing to be aware of is that you can win this map without ever entering your opponent's side of the map. You can just go to all the towers. If you take all the temples, you're going to win because they just zap down the opponent's buildings, also including their core, which means you never have to walk over there ever the whole time.
Yep, and the biggest thing is you'll see there on the bottom where it kind of tells you the recap. You capture the temples, hold the temples, and defend the temples. Basically, you stand on that circle and you activate it, and it's for you, and that temple will shoot against your enemy. But it's also going to spawn minions that you'll have to fight along the way, which can cause a bit of damage. And then once that happens, the enemy, if it's contested, will allow them to come in and neutralize it until somebody steps off of it. And here on the left, as we introduce the teams, For the blue team, we have Tiger JK on Sonya, Psalm on Zeratul, Evan Dryand on Jaina, June on Tassadar, and AKA Face on Abathur.
All right, and on the other side, we have JD on Joanna there, Lazarus on Tyrael, Green on Raynor. There, come on, guys. Thrilla on Lily, and Delkai on Zagara.
And one of the things that you'll often see is going for sight early, those 5 teams there. But where we see a split coming is with the red team, and it looks like the blue team with, let's see, as we get this correctly here, Team X17 is on the left. And they tried to engage early, and a lot of times you'll see that in that middle lane to where the teams try and go and maybe get a little bit of an advantage, get that early push, or maybe even get a kill. But they definitely got the sight. And as we're looking here in the top lane, we have Raynor and Lily up top, who's going to be facing off with Evan Dryand on Jaina. In that bottom lane, we actually had an early kill on Zagara between Sonya and Zeratul down there.
Yeah, I mean, those two are kind of brutal against somebody like Zagara who has very little health. Especially at the beginning of the game. You know, you get caught by that spear, Zeratul's just going to finish you off. It's not going to matter.
Yeah, and I think with Zagara down there, Zagara is a tough hero one-on-one when you're laning because she can put that Monster Hunter out there and it will just be a nuisance. And so I think Zeratul came in there, and then of course Sonya being there, able to heal through that, and you can see that Monster Hunter there as we have both temples now getting ready to spawn in the middle and top lanes.
Right, so this is why they put Zagara at bottom. That ability to push out is vital at the beginning. They're willing to give up a couple of temple shots if it means that she can push out and counter that Abathur who's going to try and split soap.
Yeah, very early there, we actually saw Zeratul chase off Tyrael there in the middle lane. And the thing that's going on right now is, in the middle lane, we have Team X17 holding that middle one, but now we're having a contest for the top one. If they're able to get that middle one without the red team being able to step on that top temple, they now have that middle temple down, which means they're going to be able to contest this top one before it's up, which could be an advantage for Team X17 as Lily goes down there in that top temple.
Hate to call you out on this, but I think you have your teams backwards.
I have my teams backwards. Team X17 is on the
red side.
On the red side. All right. So we have Charmander on the left there. So Charmander there. That's what happens when we get everything late. Johanna goes down there in the top lane. All right, we're getting our bearings here as we did not receive that initial draft, and you can see now in the bottom lane we had Sonya come to defend against Zagara. As I said there, Charmander got that middle temple, and now you can see in that top temple, they're able to contest and get that, and be able to get that. And we have a disconnect here. We'll see if we have a pause as Evan Dryand seems to have disconnected.
And that is their Jaina player, so you can't really play without that.
Yeah, we're going to see if we get a pause here as we move to the middle lane. And in that top lane, we have a lot just going on all over the place here because we have Abathur down soaking, sending his forces along with AKA Face, and then they are competing against Zagara down here with Sonya defending. And it looks like Evan Dryand on Jaina is back. And so that bottom lane is, again, being completely neutralized between those locusts coming in from Abathur there. And then, of course, Sonya defending as well. So,
also, I would like to point out that there's a Zeratul just sitting there waiting for Zagara to get low to pick her off.
Yeah, and that's actually behind the gate. And you'll see there coming in, and they're going to try and trap her right on the corner. And just almost had it. And Zeratul gets the takedown. Boom.
That was brutal.
Brilliantly played. You could see they were trying to pin her against that. If Sonya could come in and trap her against that cannon there, and then Zeratul, and they were able to delay it just long enough to be able to get that finishing shot in. Very nicely played there by Zeratul.
Yes.
We'll take a look at some of the talents. I didn't bring those up initially, but we can see that with, let's see, we've got Charmander there on the left side. They've already hit their level 7 talents, and you can see with Sonya there going with a more DPS-centric build with War Paint, Focused Attack, and Follow-Through, being able to do some damage there as Sonya goes and grabs the bottom left siege camp on their side.
Yeah, and it looks like on the right side they're almost about to hit 7. There it goes. We'll see what they're picking up. Raynor, of course, is going full damage build with Revolution Overdrive, trying to pump out as much damage as he can. Zagara going probably one of my favorite builds on her with the Envenom Spines, and Lily's really pushing out those Serpents. So nothing too unusual there.
Yeah, and I think one of the things with Lili going with a Serpent build, that's not necessarily a direct healing build, but you have different heroes there between Johanna that's going to be able to survive, and then you have Zagara with her self-heal there, and so that's going to be able to help. And you can see Pitch Perfect now coming in there for a little bit of heals for Lili.
Right, and again, we're seeing this Zeratul bringing up flanking positions, trying to get behind somebody, trying to get that damage in, those pickoffs done.
And we can see Psalm there on Zeratul just lurking in the bushes, as now we have Charmander with Sonya down there capturing the temple, and we have this huge contest down below as now Tassadar having to get out of there, and Jaina trying to come in and do some damage. And Zeratul coming in, trying to get some shots on Lili. Lili almost going down. Lili barely escapes there as Tyrael goes down for X17.
Oh, and Tassadar is so low. He was down to 4 health.
And Sonya not able to survive there, but Zeratul able to come in and finally get that kill shot on Lili. And it looks like we have another disconnect there from Evandrind on Jaina, and we're going to see if that has any effect here, as we can see that Jaina now goes for that bottom temple to be able to try and solo that with the AI. And you can see Zeratul jumping in on Zagara. Zagara goes down. Boom!
Yeah, this is brutal. They are just not stopping.
Zeratul right now being played by Psalm is just absolutely coming in, and we can see Abathur going down. I did not see where that happened, but Abathur maybe was in that top lane soaking, which is what you...
Tyrael went up there, decided he'd had enough, and just put him in the ground.
And that's one of the things that you'll see is Abathur in a body soak in a lane while those temples are up. It allows him to still continue to hat people, but it also allows to get that experience soak. As you can see that they are at level 11, and we take a look at the heroics here. We have Wrath of the Berserker for Sonya, and it looks like we have a boss engaged down here already for Charmander. They said, hey, we're at level 10, and they're not yet, so we're going to see if we can sneak this in. And now you're going to see an early boss capture here for Charmander. And as we wrap up and you can see Jaina has not selected a heroic talent there. I'm not sure if Evandrind is back in, but Force Wall there for Tassadar. Ultimate Evolution for Abathur.
Yeah, it looks like Jaina is still a AI there. And she picks up Water Elemental, which both of those heroics are good. Neither of them are heroics that you necessarily need to stay away from, so...
And we can see now that X17 has their heroics locked in. Hyperion for Raynor, Blessed Shield for Johanna, Devouring Maw, of course, for Zagara, and the usual for Lili of Jug of 1,000 Corpses, or Cups, and then Sanctification for Tyrael. I feel like she's out to kill people. Lili, the murderous one, with her evil skin here recently, as we see Charmander coming in and taking the camp here, the Bruiser camp, on X17's side. So that's going to push the top lane as X17 was forced to defend against that boss in the bottom lane.
Yeah. I have seen a Lili do damage build, though, and a friend of mine has proven that Lili damage build is actually quite good, surprisingly. Not when she's your only healer on the team, but...
That does make it a little bit more difficult, and Evandrind continuing to have disconnect issues there. We'll find out a little bit more about that as the night goes on. Hopefully that will be able to hold. Definitely a great player. I've seen Evandrind before. I think I've even casted one of his games, and definitely a valuable asset there for Charmander. As you can see, Charmander taking complete control of this map at their level 13 talents, going in and taking the siege camp down here in the bottom lane, as we now have the bottom and middle temples available for both teams. And you can see Abathur there, again, body soaking in that top lane. We'll see if he's been spotted and whether somebody goes to try and pick him off.
He seems to think that somebody's coming up because he's getting out of there now.
And now he's got a little bit more visibility there as the camp starts to, or as the creep starts to work. But as we can see, instead of going for the temples, we have Charmander now pushing this bottom lane with the siege camp. And you can see X17 now coming in to defend. And this is going to be huge. I believe this is setting up, as you can see, a force wall goes in here. This is going to set up the next boss push, because if they're able to get these cannons down, and now they're able to defend and fall back and get these temples, that next boss push will be able to get right in and hit this keep in that back lane, which could make for a very early finish here for Charmander.
Yeah, that was an excellent plan on their part. Go in, get their attention, pull them down to the bottom. All you have to do is get them out of position, because now they're getting both temples. I don't think June on Tassadar down here is going to be able to hold against the entire team.
He's going to have to try and get out of there. As
he got plenty of shots, so...
He just walled himself in with Force Wall. I'm sure that was unintentional, but he still manages to get out of there as they did not focus him down.
At this point, they seem to be a little more concerned about the temples than trying to get kills. Even though they're losing middle temple, they're only getting about half of the bottom one. Not sure if that was a good call.
And we can see Zeratul lurking in the bushes once again on Psalm, looking for an opportunity. And he's going to see if somebody comes out of here a little bit damaged. Like a shark smelling blood in the water is Zeratul on Psalm there, trying to see if anybody got injured. But it doesn't look like that is the case. As you can see, Sonya and Jaina now. Still Jaina there as AI, going there with Tiger JK on Sonya. Grab their top, a Bruiser Camp, who's going to be pushing that top lane. As you can see, Abathur was up there again, body soaking and just absolutely annihilating that top lane.
That's true, and Tiger here is doing something really smart. If you're ever playing with an Abathur, please do this. Destroy the walls, get rid of them, because then the opponent can't see Abathur moving around. It gives them less vision on the map, and that's very important for a character that has absolutely no defense like Abathur.
Yeah, every bit of visibility that Abathur can get, because you don't want Abathur to die ever. That's his role. He has to stay on there. While he doesn't directly engage in battle, he will always be a presence all over the map whenever he wants.
Although, he did take Ultimate Evolution, and I believe he's about to use it. There he goes.
As we see on Tassadar, 2 Tassadars coming in there, getting those shields up as Lili goes down and Zagara goes down. And we see X17 having a retreat, but Johanna goes down. Raynor goes down. 4 members of X17 go down as they now begin to punish this top keep. And we have about 25 seconds left on that boss. We have just a little bit of health left on that keep, but let's see if they go for an early kill here. It is 17 to 13. They have the death timers still on X17. I'm not sure if they'll be able to finish it, but it looks like they're going to try as we now hit 60%, and it's going down quickly.
Yeah, that force wall was perfect to keep people in their base.
Tassadar buying those valuable seconds there with Force Wall. Zeratul goes down, but too little, too late. Charmander comes in with the very quick finish of the keep. 11 minutes, 46 seconds into this battle. Charmander took complete control of this map, had excellent strategy on those temples, and just seemed to win it. There wasn't a lot of kills. It was 12 to 3, but they played this map excellently.
Yeah, I mean, they started off strong. They started off saying, hey, we're going to punch you in the face, and you're just going to deal with it. And then they just kept going. Not once did they back down from an engagement. Not once did they make a misplay. It was a very well orchestrated battle there from their side.
Yeah, and you can actually see there, with Sonya there in that bottom lane very early on and just defending against Zagara down there, managed to capture 67,000 in siege damage, which is quite a significant amount for Sonya in such a short amount of time. So very nicely played there on the XP side for Charmander there.
Yeah, that was excellently done by them.
And we'll go ahead and let's recap this. I'll keep the stats up on the screen for just a few moments longer. You can see Lili not able to get a lot of heals in there with that Serpent build, and we'll take a look at that. And you can see Tassadar there with the amount of healing done to allied heroes was more than double that of Lili. And that just played into the build that he was running as we saw the stats there, or the talents, which we're going to have a little bit more control going into Game 2 as we're going to be a little bit more prepared. With the draft and everything. Yeah, we're going to get links a little bit quicker this time around, so we'll have that. But here is the stats for you guys to recap. Zagara did her bit of work in that bottom lane, but just very well played there by Charmander.
Yeah, they, like I said, they just kept the pressure on all the time. They never once let the opponent think that they had the upper hand. Sonya was a great pick going up against Zagara. There's not a lot Zagara can do to fend off a Sonya. It's an excellent counter to her playstyle. The weaker characters, for example, Illidan, who everyone, Illidan's strong, right? Especially 1v1, you're like, oh, I'll be fine. Not against a Zagara. Zagara is great, but
in those 1v1 situations early, though. But with Sonya, like you said, Sonya there she can take the damage and then heal herself up instantly. Most heroes don't have that ability. Illidan, he's a little bit squishier, and so he has to duck out and then make his opportunities there. But Sonya can just say, hey, I'm staying here, and you're not going to get me out of it. So,
yeah, especially when she had the backup of Abathur there. Abathur sitting
those
there.
locusts coming in were nice.
Yep. I mean, it's just more bodies in the fight. It's more that your opponent has to deal with and less that you have to worry about. And that really helps in any kind of lane push, especially when you have a strong character like Sonya leading the charge.
Yeah, and I was a little curious with their team composition because they didn't have a true tank and they didn't have a true healer, but they had a lot of sustain, a lot of sneaky damage there with Zeratul. Now, we didn't get to see the order these were picked in and whether there were counters and who was picked first because we didn't get that draft link. But there was a lot of, thought put into how they were doing that. And then you saw Ultimate Evolution there on Abathur, who just cloned Tassadar and was able to throw up even more safety out there for the rest of the team. So very nicely played there by Charmander with a little bit, I don't want to say less traditional, but a little bit more unique look at a team composition on Sky Temple.
That's true, and you're right. They were very tactical about how they dealt with not having a tank, with not having an actual full healer. Tassadar does a lot better at it since his most recent buff, but it's still mostly just shields. You're not looking at a full heal from Rhaegar or a bunch of Q every 12 or every 6 seconds from Lili, something like that, where you're guaranteed to get healing. You're looking at, here's a shield, and by the way, if you hurt people during this, you're going to get a little extra out of it.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm actually going to pull back up the talent screen so we can see what Cardona is talking about. It's not until that level 4 talent with Leeching Plasma is really the only true heals that you're going to have there from Tassadar, which says while it's active, 30% of the target's basic attack damage against the primary target is returned as health. So this gives him the capability of shielding. It's up to those heroes to be able to have that basic attack damage to be able to go in there and do that. So with a hero like Sonya and Zeratul who are going to go in there with some basic attacks, that's one way to say, hey, we're going to stay up and we're going to stay alive. Just shield me, and we'll be able to, supplement that shield by doing a little bit of healing to ourselves with that shield on them.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
As Mike M16A4 pointed out in chat, Zeratul was there for every single takedown. So very nicely played there by Zeratul. So all around a great play. We're going to go ahead and prepare for the next match. So we're going to go ahead and give you guys a quick screen. We're going to take a quick break. I know I'm going to... Are they ready?
We might have one ready if we're willing to not watch a draft again.
All right. Except draft is over. Is that Momentum?
That would be Momentum, and they're playing against Flipside. And if you remember, this was last week's championship match.
All right. Well, we'll get into it. I think Momentum is probably a good team to cast on here. So we're actually going to go ahead. We're going to bypass the draft. We will cover their picks before the game starts, so long as we have a few moments. I'm going to go ahead and leave this game and then wait for our next invite. And then once we have that, we'll bring that up. We'll be able to show you the heroes, kind of get an idea on what their strategy is going in. And hopefully, if they can tell us what map it is, that would really help a little bit. Let's see. And we'll see what map, and we'll be able to kind of analyze that a little bit more to kind of see, hey, this is the map, these are their choices, what's going to be some of the strategy. Cursed Hollow. So we have a really big map here. That is the tributes, and we'll cover that right as the game loads. So if you're not familiar with that map, Cardone, I know, is going to do a great job, as he did last game, to kind of give you guys an update as far as what that map's about and what you can expect. So we'll get the invites here in just 1 second, and then take a look at those picks to see how this is going to work out.
Sure. So while we're waiting on that, I'll go ahead and explain this map for you guys. You'll see it in just a few minutes. It'll explain it itself, but I feel like I have more detail than that load screen.
Probably a little bit more than a load screen, yes.
I would hope so. So this map is all about picking up tributes. Tributes spawn every couple of minutes, and once you get 3, the enemy team is cursed. So when they get cursed, all their minions are set to 1 health, which is scary low. If you sneeze on them, they will die. And all of their buildings stop firing, except for the core. Everything else for the team that got the curse is normal. All their minions are fine, all their buildings fire. It is just a one-sided onslaught the entire time. But this map is also kind of technical in the sense that there's lots of alleyways, there's lots of back paths, things like that, where you can get a good flank up, or you can, have an awesome play and ambush. There's lots of ways to ensure that you're going into that tribute strong and not behind.
I think one of the other parts about this map that I think makes it interesting, because you can go and you can battle over the tributes all game long. However, there are actually two bosses on this map, one on each side on opposite corners. And, it's been deemed for a while now the throw pit, because that's an opportunity for you to go in there and get the boss, and then the other team come in and completely wipe you, take that, and then it's a complete game changer there. And not only do you have one opportunity, you have two opportunities for this to happen. And you'll oftentimes see it is in one person goes in and they'll go and get that, they'll lose it, and the other team says, hey, you know what, we're taking one, we're going to go ahead and get both. And that's going to be, one of those things that can always be exciting, because that can change the battle at any moment. So I just got a message from Charmander, who they're going up against 2Arc, although we're just in this game. I don't think we're at that round, are we?
Well, the way this works on the backside, for anyone that's not familiar with the way we do this, is the other team, the other people that aren't being casted, they're just going to go ahead and play. The only one that's required to wait is the championship match. So we pick and choose who we're going to cast as we go, just whoever's available at the time. That's why sometimes we have kind of a long wait between teams, or between matches that you guys are watching. It's because we're waiting for other people to finish up. We don't do specific, like, this round starts at this time, round 2 will start at this time, because I can really slow down the evening, especially since some people that are playing, it's already late. I mean, it's like, what, 8 o'clock for me? It's 8 o'clock for me, but it's 9 o'clock for you, isn't it?
It's 9 o'clock for me. I think it's just a good flow, because if you're in these tournaments, you don't want to play one game and then wait 30 minutes, because you're not playing high stakes. You're on the internet, and that means you have to basically set aside the rest of your night. Now, if you're planning on setting aside the rest of your night because you're planning on winning all night, by all means do that. But, it's one of those things that gives people the opportunity to have that nice turnover and be able to go and get that going. And it looks like everybody is ready. So we're going to be loading up here very soon on the Cursed Hollow. And these teams, I'm sorry, we have Risen Bane. That was one of the heroes. Which?
So, Risen Bane is on Momentum's side.
Okay, so we've got Momentum versus...
Yep. So Momentum's going to be on the right. They're going to be our red team. Flipside Tactics is going to be on the left. They will be our blue team this evening.
Flipside Tactics on the blue side.
Yes.
All right.
That should, in theory, be on the left. Because Blizzard's color coordination is sometimes messed up, I don't really know.
Work on that. All right, so we will get them started here in just one moment and get this fired up. And you guys will be able to check this out on the Cursed Hollow. And it looks like we didn't get a chance to really look at the heroes, but we have, well, I take that back. We're in the game, so let's introduce these two teams. And we'll take a very quick look as we start to try and figure out the picks here. As we zoom out, and on the left side for the blue team, we have Hyanra on Sonya. Seems to go good together. GameSpa versus is on ETC. Hello, man, they are butchering us with these names.
I love that you got that team.
Kawhi Rice on Uther, and then Tangy on Raynor.
On the other side, the easier to say team, we have Corgi on Tyrael. We have Hyon on Jaina. Risenbane playing his favorite Tassadar, although he would prefer Gazlowe. Just everyone vote for Gazlowe, okay? Thanks. Insider on Sylvanas, and Shuppler on Brightwing.
Now, one of the things that I see going on down here in the bottom lane, and this is something that I really like to see, we have Sylvanas coming in and locking it down, and they're sending 3 heroes directly at this bottom lane. This is a strategy that I wait for people to do. Sylvanas is such a strong hero for situations like this, and they are able to just go in and take half of that health from that bottom cannon out immediately. Now, one of the things as we see, and as Sylvanas not having to duck out of there with her Haunting Wave, comes back, and now it's a 3v3 in the bottom lane. We're going to keep it locked here for just 1 second, because Leoric's already having to drop back and hit that well. And we have Sylvanas coming in here, who is a beast at locking down these minions, especially as we see Leoric get taken down there very early.
Yeah, I mean, Flipside just had to come back and counter that. 3 people taking down a tower. They're about to get it now. It's at a quarter of its health. They had to pull people from other lanes to take care of that, which means in mid, you just have Sonya against Tyrael, and Sonya's probably going to win that out, but it's not as good as they would have hoped, essentially.
Okay, so just to make sure I did get these teams right, Momentum is on the left, and Flipside is on the right?
Nope.
Backwards. All right, let's rename these. I thought you said Blue Team was... All right, let's
Blue
get
team
this
is
right.
Flipside.
Again, these quick turnarounds are... When I saw the names, I knew something had to be off. And we see a nice sight there as Sonya continues to push back. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the middle lane, and we take a look at this bottom cannon, which has just a few hundred health left, and you're going to see that gets taken down there. And we'll take a look at the bottom lane again with 3v3, Sonya versus Tyrael in the middle lane, and then we have a Brightwing up top of versus ETC. That's a nice 1v1 battle there.
Yeah, that's a battle that honestly is going to go pretty evenly for everybody. Brightwing's a great character, but against an ETC, ETC has some self-heal. He's not really concerned about the Brightwing. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting battle up there.
And in this bottom lane on the backside, we have Sylvanas and Jaina taking this back siege camp early. This is going to be timing in the sense that they're going to have this push that bottom lane with that tribute that's going to be coming up very quickly.
Yep, and this shows that they know this map. They started heading over there before the siege camp even spawned.
And
they knew what time it was coming up, and they said, hey, let's go get it right now. We'll just head over there. It'll be up by the time we get there.
Right on cue, that came up. The tribute is now spawning as we speak, and you can see that bottom lane has that siege camp that's now pushing, that's now having two members from Momentum that's going to be pushing that with Brightwing, or I'm sorry, it's just Brightwing down there, and pushing with those siege camps. And you're going to see the rest of the team up top as Jaina starts to grab a hold of that tribute, and you can see off to the right there, the bosses are now spawning, and we'll see how that plays out. Now, one of the things that we didn't get to take a look at because we didn't have the draft for this is that Flipside drafted essentially 3 warriors, 3 tanks, which is a significant amount. They were expecting to have lots of fights on these tributes, and right now it seems like Momentum is just forcing the battle with Sylvanas, who's now in the top lane, and they're dropping back. As you can see, they're doing a ton of damage with that Sylvanas Tassadar Jaina combo.
That is an excellent combo for taking down buildings. As far as the 3 tanks go, honestly, these tanks aren't anything that's great at the beginning, especially if you're on 2-on-1, 3-on, 2-on-1, 3-on-2, something like that. You need more people there. Later on, I think this is going to work out for them. They just have to hold through this early game.
And I think one of my concerns there is if you have ETC who ends up going with Mosh Pit, then you have to have takedown ability with the assassins. And right now your only takedown is going to be with Raynor, because I don't see Sonya and Leoric doing quite enough damage to try and just take care of that, especially when you have a Tassadar on the other team who's going to be shielding, and then Brightwing who's also going to be there, who, depending on which heroic she goes with, could do a pushback, or it could just be a blink heal. We'll see. Is there going to be enough damage that goes out during those mosh pit phases if he goes with mosh pit?
That is a good question. I think, depending on the build Sonya goes, she'll probably be alright, but not if she's dead.
And Sonya is not alright because she goes down as a shot comes in there from Sylvanas with that Withering Fire. As Uther tries to back up, Uther comes in there, gets a heal out on ETC, and they have to back up and relent that second tribute. And now Momentum has 2 tributes to 0, and we're going to see what tactical strategy they make as they are a full level up. Although the talents are even now, we're going to see if they start to make a push to get these front forts out, maybe make a boss push afterwards, or depending on when this tribute comes up as they're coming down here, circling down in that bottom lane to try and take care of Leoric, who walks right out of there.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting to me because we've seen these 2 teams play before. We watched them play last week. Pretty rough games. They both in the championship, so a lot happened. I don't know what the thought process was with the 3 tanks, because we weren't there for the draft. We didn't see if anybody was trying to counter anybody else. I feel like the Sylvanas pick was late, though, because Flipside just has nothing that they can do to fight Sylvanas off.
Yeah, and you can see that now they are locking into their level 10 talents. You can see Jaina and Tassadar hearth back in anticipation of this 3rd tribute. They want to be at full health and full mana. As you can see, they're now on their way, and we take a look at the heroics. We have Summon Water Elemental for Jaina, for Swall for Tassadar, Blink Heal, of course, for Brightwing, Sanctification for Tyrael, and Wailing Arrow for Sylvanas. And before this tribute spawns, they are hopping over here and getting this siege camp. And now they're going to come down here and defend this tribute and see if they can get 3 and curse the enemy team.
I don't think they had anything to worry about. When you're 9 to 10 and you're going after an objective, it's usually not worth it. It's usually better to just eat the objective and let the enemy team do what they're going to do.
They split those lanes trying to get 10 themselves, which they are approaching and just about to hit. And this will allow them to re-engage, and we'll see the coordination here on whether they're able to group together. As we can see, they start to lock in there. Hyperion for Raynor, March of the Black King for Leoric. And we see a mosh pit there for ETC, Wrath of the Berserker, of course, for Sonya, as Raynor has to duck out of there as he takes lots of damages in his
and here comes a mosh pit on 4 people.
And this is huge as Tassadar goes down. Very nicely done.
Oh,
Shield coming up on Jaina.
Sanctification comes out.
Excuse me.
Amazing timing on that, but not enough to keep his allies up. Everyone is dead except for Corgi.
Yeah, Brightwing went down there at the end. And again, they went and they split pushed until they got to 10, and they used that moment to go ahead and say, let's re-engage. That mosh pit came in. Raynor was able to come in there and do a lot of damage. And now you can see Flipside making a push for the boss while they know that momentum is still respawning.
This is a great play. They had an excellent team fight there. They need something. They need some push. They need something to put momentum on the back foot and ensure that, you know, they're not getting everything this game.
And you can see they made a very nice play there, and now they're backing out. And in the meantime, Momentum is now saying, hey, you're getting your boss, we have to get ours. This will allow them to be able to get their boss pushing the top lane and then go down and defend against Flipsides and forcing Flipside to defend against theirs. As we can see, Flipside now making a push. Is this going to be a disengage for Momentum as Flipside starts to come in here?
There aren't a lot of people there, but it's still enough.
And Sylvanas has to duck out at the last moment with her haunting wave, and that gives the boss to Flipside, and Flipside is now pushing this top lane with the boss.
Yeah, and their bottom boss is still going with only Brightwing down there to try and combat it. This is an excellent turnaround for them.
Huge turnaround. As you stated before, they couldn't engage that last tribute until they got to 10. And once they did, they re-engaged. And now this top fort goes down. They're getting down the cannon, and they're going to make their way to the cannons in front of this top keep lane. And right now, it seems like Flipside has completely flipped the script on this one and has now taken complete map control.
Yeah, I mean, the whole map is blue except for a couple of bruiser camps. This is excellent for them. This is exactly what they needed to get back in this game.
And we can see the boss finally goes down there, but not without doing a little bit of damage to that gate and eating some of those cannon shots. And we're going to see Momentum go over here and grab their bruiser camp and try and make a little bit of a push and try and regain map control here, as we'll see Flipside here in the middle. And are they going to try and target this middle lane, or are they going to drop back for their own camps? As you see Sonya drop back for her own bruiser camp, and we're going to see Flipside go ahead and disengage and drop back.
Yeah, I think the goal there was just to keep Momentum back away from Sonya. Let her do her thing. Sonya's excellent at taking camps because of her spin to win. She heals right through their damage. She doesn't worry about it. I think the whole goal was to say, hey, let's push Momentum back, make sure they're not pushing us, and Sonya will do a thing.
One of the things that I want to look at right now is ETC. He went with Groupies. Groupies got a buff to do the heals, and we have 4 melee for Flipside. And if you also look, he chose follow through at level 7, which means that Groupies, that heal is going to come around much more often because that follow through is going to allow for those cooldowns to be much, much quicker. So there's going to be a lot of heals as we see a takedown there on Tyrael, who got trapped body blocked by essentially everybody from Flipside.
Yeah, he's been playing really risky today. Tyrael's been out by himself doing 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, and then just trying to escape whenever things get a little dicey. And eventually it was bound to stop working for him.
You see Leoric diving in that back and just forcing back Momentum as he goes in there with March of the Black King, not able to heal himself enough. And he does go down, does Leoric, who will be up a little bit quicker than most. And we're going to see Flipside try and disengage, but we have Momentum coming in, and we see a mosh pit go down from ETC.
Divine Shield on Sonya there to keep her up, but the Silence Arrow comes out. Is it going to be enough?
Not before they took down Tassadar. Now they get Jaina, and inside there we have Sonya low on health, but managing to heal herself as Brightwing comes in with a flash heal, but goes down, and Tyrael is on that back line and manages to dive out of there just in the nick of time.
An excellent play from Tyrael. Sanctification to keep himself up just a few seconds longer, throw out Eldruin's Might, run the other way, have them chase, and then teleport to it.
Beautifully played. I think that's a little bit quicker. They have that ability with both Sylvanas and Tyrael, but Tyrael's, I think, is a little bit easier to pull off and a little bit easier to survive with, so very nicely done there.
And Brightwing.
And Brightwing, of course. They have a lot of teleportation. Does momentum.
They have plenty of ways to get out of a scrap.
And we now see that that Flipside has dropped back. They're waiting, and you can see this right here as Raynor hops off of it. And this is one of those things. They're going to wait to capture this. They went ahead and took care of those siege camps, but they're going to wait till that next tribute is about to spawn or does spawn, because then they'll be able to hop on it and be able to send that, and we're going to see just when they decide to pick that up. I don't know if that was an oversight, because it looks like they're now going back.
Nope, they're waiting for this. So GameSpot, the tribute just said it's spawning. GameSpot jumps on it, lets that go now. I feel like they could have done it a little earlier.
Definitely a little earlier as Leoric comes in here, but Leoric, without much support, has to Wraith Walk out of there and be able to get out. Now we're going to see ETC coming in. He hits that well, and he's going to come in. And are we going to see another mosh pit? Is that off cooldown?
I believe it is.
Actually, we have another 12 seconds on that before that comes in, and we're going to see they're just staring each other down. This reminds me of the Civil War stories where they just stare at each other waiting to engage. And then they're going to go all out here, and we're going to see how this
They can't wait too long. Mosh Pit is now available.
I think that's why Flipside was waiting, and we're going to wait to see a dive here as ETC says, hey, we forced you back enough. They're going to grab this tribute, and they're going to have 2 out of 3 as Momentum disengages and drops back to try and regain a little bit of map control.
Yeah, excellent play on Flipside's part. Now they're going after Boss, but is this going to throw for them?
This
ETC
is very
looted.
interesting. We have Brightwing who might be able to blink in, and we're going to see as Hyperion comes up from Raynor, and we see ETC jumping in, stunning Jaina. But on the backside, these teams are scattered all about. Momentum having to regather, and they are now back together. Nice Blizzard goes down Roots, and now Uther's being targeted. Uther being targeted there with the force wall. Uther managing to survive.
He's not going to get out.
Chased by Tyrael, and Tyrael manages to go, and on the backside, we have ETC coming in with a mosh pit, and we're going to see cannon up damage goes out as Jaina has to go in with her ice block, but Jaina now trapped, not for ETC goes down, and Uther goes down.
That's 3 down for Flipside Tactics and 0 on Momentum's side.
Yeah, at first they came in going for the boss, disengaged appropriately, but just very nicely played there. That Uther takedown early really made it worthwhile, and it was Raynor gets taken down here in the bottom, and we're going to see now that Momentum says, hey, we're going to take your boss after we just killed you. As Sonya
they may be taking the boss, but Sonya's going to get that tribute, and that will be 3 for them.
Yeah, I'm curious how this is going to be, because Sonya will get that and they will be cursed. But will they try and push this bottom lane with a Sylvanas? Because they can get this keep down. You know, the gates are already down. The keep has a little bit of damage done to it. Will they make a push here and try and get a little bit of experience? No, they're going to hearth back and let the boss do his thing.
Yeah, I think it's important to defend here. They don't want to lose any of their own keeps, their backline defenses, and that's in 2 lanes. They're pushed all the way back to the walls, or they were until, they just cleared them out. And instead, it looks like they're going to go after their own boss.
And in the meantime, Leoric is poking around, trying to see if there's an opportunity, and are they going to spot him hiding right there in the bushes?
Jaina came close, but she didn't actually go in the bushes.
And we're going to see an easy capture here, as now Tassadar says, hey, we got to see if somebody's around, and uses his sight very nicely there to be able to keep an eye on things, as they know that they are safe to capture this boss.
Yep, good play on their part. On the other side, flip side, they're taking some camps, trying to get some kind of counter momentum. They know they just lost 2 bosses, so they have to get some kind of push while this curse is going on.
And they decided to go ahead and take that top fort to allow an open lane for that boss to push, and we're going to see if they go ahead and clear this minion wave. Does Sylvanas and the rest of them here to say, hey, let's get our boss to this top keep. And just around the corner is a few members from Flipside taking this siege camp. And this siege camp might be able to defend for a few seconds against this boss.
Yeah, any extra damage against the boss is good. You need it. You know, it's helpful to take that down as quickly as possible. But with the whole enemy team here, or most of them, you're still going to lose a whole lot.
But this is a strategy we see a lot on the Haunted Mines, is that they'll grab that siege camp just before the boss gets there to be able to help defend. Now, this one is in front of the gate, but you can see it did stand off to the side and did manage to do a little bit of damage there to the golem that was coming to push. And as this middle lane now, that gate gets taken down by this middle bruiser camp for Flipside. And now we have level 20 obtained for Momentum, and we're going to see if they use this to their advantage. As we can see, Jaina hops in with Bolt of the Storm, Storm Shield for Tassadar, Storm Shield for Brightwing, Hardened Shield for Tyrael, and Bolt of the Storm for Sylvanas. Everybody going with a defensive talent there at level 20.
Yeah, it's a smart move. You know, they were probably thinking the same thing we were at the beginning, is they can't kill us, they don't have enough damage output, but they've proven time and time again that yeah, they can put enough out there to stop us in our tracks. So with those defensive abilities, it'll keep them up much longer, keep them in the fight, and probably push the enemy team back.
And we have 4 members from Momentum here who's going to use that 20 to their advantage because they have Brightwing clearing out that bottom lane. Now, this isn't out of the realm of possibilities for Flipside to turn this around on them, but they are making a nice push here. They're getting rid of that fort, getting rid of the cannon, and opening up this middle lane.
An excellent force wall there keeps Leoric out, and I think he's done for.
Leoric just now getting his March of the Black Team up, but too little, too late, and goes down there. Now he will be up a little bit quicker, but still, this is a lengthy death here at when you have them knocking on your doorstep as Momentum continues to push this middle lane. And we're going to see if Momentum does drop back to get that tribute. They only have 1. They know that Flipside has 0, so it's not a real threat for anybody to capture it this late in the game. But now they're going to get that now that it spawns, and they'll be able to handle this easily and be able to get this. Now they're getting the site, and you're going to see that they have now taken back map control, and let's see how they can use it to their advantage as they now have the second tribute working towards the third one.
Yeah, I mean, you were right in your call that not a big deal if somebody gets it. And right now we have a pause. It looks like GameSpot has a disconnect there. So we'll take a second to talk about why they fell back. They could have pushed, yes. They could have probably taken that keep down in the back line. But would it have been worth it? Yes.
They risk taking unnecessary damage if they didn't have the proper amount of heals with Brightwing in that bottom lane. They would have got the experience, but they're already at level 20, so they didn't need to force the issue. And so they made a nice push there, came back just in time, and then captured that tribute, and I thought was a perfect time right as it spawned.
Right, and that's what they were waiting on. They were waiting on something else to come up on the map so that they could say, okay, we've done enough here, let's go, and we'll just move on. We'll pick up a tribute that puts us that much closer to winning, and then, you know, we get a third one, we'll just push to win that.
And we see that GameSpot is now back, and we're going to see in the top lane, we're going to see a big push there from 4 members of Momentum, while Brightwing continues to stay down there, ready to teleport in at any time, as now that cannon goes down, and we can see that Flipside is now rotating back over as they now have their level 20 talents. And we see Tassadar getting some sight there as they sneakily try and get the siege camp and take it, and let's see if they're managing to disengage in time, and they are.
Yeah, I mean, the other team, Flipside has to deal with that siege because there's nothing defending now. Their keep is it. So if they don't take care of that siege, it'll just destroy their back line.
And we're going to see as Flipside starts to rotate down, they're going to get here just in time probably to engage in some sort of team fight. Nice.
Wow.
Very nicely done.
That was very well done, but Tassadar here is kind of stuck.
Oh, wow. Tassadar took a wrong turn and went down very, very quickly. That mosh pit was not even needed. But now we see getting rooted there is Uther and having to drop back. And you can see that Momentum now without Tassadar has to avoid this fight and has to give up that tribute, which isn't that big of a deal. But furthermore, it now allows Flipside to grab their boss, and we're going to see, are they going to try and re-engage, or will Momentum drop back? And we see Momentum trying to come in here. Will they come in here quick enough?
No, they were too late on the draw. They just, not enough time to get up there and actually do something about it. But Tyrael needs to get out of there.
Tyrael is being targeted, now getting the stun in there from Uther. Being healed is coming in from Brightwing, and Brightwing using her blink heal to get in and out of danger. As you can see that Sylvanas dismounts them with her Haunting Wave as ETC tries to get in, but not quite far enough.
Right, and now they have them on the back foot. They have an option. They have a decision to make. Do they take down? Do they keep pushing and take down a couple of buildings with the boss, or do they go get that tribute so that they don't get cursed? Because right now, Brightwing is on her way to pick up that tribute.
Yeah, and they might be rotating too late. They're letting the boss push, and they cleared a lane for it. But they now say, oh, Brightwing having to disengage there. Brightwing says, hey, I want no part of this. I better get out of here. And now you're going to see that, and they might actually be rotating up before the boss. So you can see Uther grabbing the tribute, which is going to give them 2. And in the meantime, they're going to try and get the boss. But it looks like Momentum coming up. This could get interesting.
Yeah, Momentum knows exactly what's going on here. The question is, can they get in time? And it doesn't look like they're going to. But a force wall is going to push back a couple of people.
You can see Leoric on that front line being targeted. Leoric almost goes down, but just manages to get a heal there at the last moment as Hyperion comes up for Raynor to try and scatter them. And Tyrael starting to take a lot of damage on that front line. And dropping back now is Momentum to defend against this boss, because the boss will now have a straight line after this cannon to go to the keep. And a mosh pit comes in.
I'm not sure that the mosh pit was good, but then he power slid. I'm not sure why
He had it to where he could power slide, but I believe he got polymorphed in there as Brightwing goes down and Tyrael goes down. But on the same side, ETC and Leoric goes down, but Jaina on Momentum goes down. Tassadar having to get out of there. Sylvanas ducking behind cover, and you can see, I believe that was a polymorph that went in there to break up that mosh pit. I might have missed that, but I believe that's what happened. He is
that's what it looked like
with that. And so now we have them making a push. The boss is about 50% health, and Sylvanas being stunned there and just barely manages to get in there. And the boss is just beating on the core now. Will they be able to finish it here? As the core starts to go down, 60%. Can they defend them? Sylvanas doing all she can. 30%,
it is going down fast.
20%. Are they going to finish it? It looks like the game goes to Flipside. Very nicely done. GG.
Yeah, an excellent game on both sides. Even before this, teams are bantering back and forth. Like we said earlier, everyone's really on good terms. And somebody on Flipside Tactics said, we should really make a meme for how often you guys kick our asses. That was a quote, so, don't be mad at me, be mad at them. And I just thought it was funny because we were just talking about how, everyone's kind of on good terms, but then they come here and they just turn it around. Flipside saying, you know what, we're going to win this one. And sure enough, they do.
And taking a look at it, Flipside, as talked about earlier, they didn't have a ton of hero damage that was going to go out. Sonya was going to be second, without a doubt. Raynor was going to be the top, but you can see just how low ETC and Leoric were. But Raynor really carried the damage.